You're listening to a BGE podcast.
Friends and family gather round and fire up the barbecue. Let the smoke waft and float, that's what we're gonna do. You can't deny there's nothing like friends and family and food. Don't sit still, pull out your grill, we're gonna have a barbecue.
Hey folks, we have an awesome show for you today. We threw something on the grill we've never put on the grill before, and we've got an awesome recipe for you. Stay tuned.
Don't worry what you gotta do, 'cause if you're looking, you ain't cooking. Fire up the barbecue. Fire up the barbecue.
Welcome back to another episode of the Blind Grilling Experience. My name is Chris Peltz. I am the most interesting griller in the world. And we've got quite a bit of things that I want to cover on today's episode. And I think it's some things that you guys might really like. The recipe I know you're going to love. It is top-notch stuff, man. And one that you can simply follow to a T and love it, or take it to the next level and put a few twists on it and really make it your own. That's really what I love about a lot of these recipes that I have is the ability that, you know, it gives you to really almost fundamentally change it altogether, but to make it your own. Right? To really put a little bit of yourself into it and play with the flavors and make it so that you really like it and that you enjoy making it, and most importantly, you enjoy eating it and sharing it with others. I don't know if you noticed on our YouTube channel, we posted a video. We did a short as well, but we did a full 10-minute video also, reviewing the all-terrain cane from Werewolf Gear. And it looks like we might be able to get Dave from Werewolf Gear on the podcast coming up pretty soon. We'll see how that goes, how it gets worked out. But I do, there are some things about the cane that I really like. So if you want to check that out, go to youtube.com/blindgrilling. And you'll be able to find both the little short we did and the 10-minute first impressions and review out in the country. We were off the paved road and, out in an area where I do quite a bit of outdoor activities. As a matter of fact, we have a garden out in that area, and we were out working in the garden also. Picking tomatoes and okra, and still had some cucumbers coming on, so got some cucumbers as well, which was awesome. The okra, oh man, the okra, woo! I love the tomatoes first of all, but the okra that's been coming on has been so good. And I mentioned earlier something that we've thrown on the grill that we have never grilled before. Folks, it's the okra. Yeah, that's right. It's the okra. You know, okra is one of those things that either you love it or you hate it, or if you've only had it one way, for example, boiled, you hate it. And I don't blame you. Oh, my goodness. But if you've had it fried, you love it. Oh, man. Fried okra is awesome. I think when I had my wife on the program a few weeks back, we were talking about putting up corn and canning some green beans, and we talked about freezing okra. But we've been eating some okra, and we love some fried okra. But someone at the grill store had come in and was talking to us about gardening, talking to my wife, and this lady had told my wife that they grill the okra. And one of our first thoughts was, what about, is it slimy, right? Is it get that texture, that sliminess to it that boiled okra gets? And And they were adamant, no, it doesn't. It doesn't, and it's so good, and they just went on and on about it. And so we decided, you know what, we are going to try it. We're going to try it. So we were out working in the garden. We picked a bunch of tomatoes that, I mean, we're talking softball and a few even bigger. The beautiful, oh man, just wonderful tomatoes that just full of flavor, just awesome. And the okra had come on really good, and some of it was ready to pick. So we got a whole bunch of okra picked. And so we got home, and we were making supper on a Wednesday night like we normally do for a lot of the college kids that goes to church with us. And I thought, you know what, let's just grill some okra. We did a reverse sear beef tenderloin and something that we'll share the recipe on today, a potato bake. And I thought, you know what, let's, we got garden fresh green beans. We got some sliced tomatoes. Let's try this grilled okra and see how it goes. I even wrapped some with bacon because I was just like, if something goes wrong with the okra, maybe at least we'll have some bacon out of it. And so we did some bacon wrapped okra, and I was shocked. I really was shocked. I was surprised. I'll tell you this: it's not my favorite. I don't think it beats fried okra. But if you're someone who would love fried okra, but you're afraid of frying something like that, there's a lot of folks who don't like the hot oil or something, but you don't mind grilling something. And I'll tell you because we did it two ways. We had the flat top griddle going, and we had the big green egg fired up. And so we did some okra on both the charcoal egg, big green egg, and on the griddle outside. And the results were pretty much the same as far as that goes, whether it was bacon wrapped or whether it was just on the griddle or on the egg. It was good. It really was good. And I was trying to find the words like because the texture was different. It wasn't slime. There was no sliminess to it. That was great. So that was fine. But I was trying to figure out, I was like, it reminds me of something, but I couldn't place it really. And my wife's like, asparagus, almost like you've just barely overcooked asparagus. And maybe we overcooked the okra a little bit. I don't know, but that's kind of the texture that it was. And so it's like that's it. It was just a little bit of a much bigger bite of like a sprig of asparagus. But it was this okra, and you know how okra has those seeds. I mean, they had become, extremely soft, and it was nice and hot. And of course, the bacon turned out great. I mean, that's there's no, what do you say? I mean, it was bacon, right? The bacon was great. It was good, but the okra was good too. I was really surprised because. To be honest with you, we weren't. I don't want to speak for my wife. I didn't know what to expect, I guess. I didn't get my hopes up like this is going to be the best thing ever. But, I was very curious because every once in a while I like me some okra. And if, Michelle doesn't want to fry some up, then, maybe I can just grab some and throw it on the grill and see how it does. Now, we didn't cut it, like when you fry it, how you'll cut it into little medallions. And bread it and fry it. I just left it whole, just cut, washed it because we fresh picked from the garden, cut the ends off, and we wrapped it in some of them in bacon, some we just threw on, and threw them on the grill, and it was good. It was surprisingly good, and it wasn't slimy, And listen, I don't know if you guys have ever eaten it raw. My father-in-law will grab okra off the stalk, right? He'll be out in the garden, be working, and he'll grab some water and be chugging water, and he'll be like, man, I'm hungry. He goes over and he grabs a big old, okra, and just eats it right there. It's like you're crazy, but he's all, no, this is good stuff. Well, you know what? You throwing it on the grill worked. It really worked, and that it surprised me, but I'm glad I did it. It's not going to be one of those things where I'm like, oh man, I need to grill some okra all the time, but it is something that throwing it on the grill, and especially if you want to put something on a plate, add a little bit of color. Add, just something a little different maybe that folks hadn't had. You can, throw a piece of grilled okra on somebody's plate. They can eat it. And, it was good. It was good. So that was one of the things that we did this week. And again, I would say it's something everyone needs to try. I wouldn't expect it to be your favorite, but if you like fried okra and you like asparagus, I think you would like grilled okra. I really do. KickAshBasket.com. For all your grilling accessory needs, go to KickAshBasket.com and check out their charcoal baskets for your style of grill. Whether it's a Kamadou style ceramic grill, whether you've got a Weber kettle or some other type of charcoal burning grill, we've got a basket that might just work for you. It improves airflow, helps you to control and manage your fire, which means you can help manage your smoke as well. They've got the Kick Ash can to help collect all the ash when the cook is over for easy cleanup. And of course, they've got the heat-resistant gloves and so much more. Go over to kickashbasket.com and tell them Blind Grillin' sent you. So folks, when it comes to the grills, we did some cleanup, and we had some winds come through, and I know a lot of folks did. We had recorded a podcast with the Gilkeys, and, they got a great YouTube channel. But the night after we recorded that podcast, they had some wind come through up in their neck of the woods, and I mean, they had down trees. I mean, just their whole neighborhood. They were without power for 30 hours. And I mean, it was a huge ordeal. And then the next couple of nights down here where I'm at in Missouri, we had some terrible winds. In fact, there was a rainstorm that hit where, people talk about, the rain was going sideways, right? Because the wind was blowing, just whipping so hard. It was blowing the rain sideways. Folks, the rain was going up. I mean, that's how crazy and intense it was. It wasn't just a downpour, coming down or being blown sideways. The wind was so crazy that it was like the rain was going up instead of coming down. It was nuts. And there were several stores that had water that came in that got flooded, and water was being blown in through like the doors, the underneath the doors, above the doors. The wind was just unbelievable. Fortunately, we didn't sustain any damage on the deck, but things were definitely not where we left them. I can tell you that. So yeah, that's one of the things that's happened to us this past week for sure. Our AC over where I work at the church building had gone out, and we'd been without AC, and they had to replace the AC units and been dealing with that. So there's been quite a bit going on, been really busy, haven't been able to do nearly as many cooks as I would like to have gotten to, but I wasn't starving. I mean, don't feel sorry for me. It's okay. It's not like I couldn't afford to miss a meal every once in a while anyway. So, but yeah. But things have been going well. But one of the things that we mentioned earlier, along with that grilled okra and the beef tenderloin that we did a reverse sear on. We did this potato bake, and this is one of those things that it's super simple, but at the same time, you can really doctor it up and make it almost a standalone dish if you wanted to. Although it works well for a side also. You can do it inside or you can do it out on the grill or in the smoker as well. So it's really versatile, for folks who, think, oh, well, this sounds really good, but, I don't have a smoker to do it on. Or, someone's like, well, I really want to put some smoke to that. It works well there also. So I had a half pan, so, approximately a 9 by 13 inch pan, and I had about 5 potatoes that were, I would say between a tennis ball and baseball size, maybe baseball slightly bigger, but about that size. They weren't huge, big, baked potatoes type. But so I had 5 of those, and I cut those up into little cubes that were about the end of my thumb, right? So, bite, a good bite. Maybe you could get 2 in a bite. So they're not huge, but you put those in your pan. I, of course, spray it with a little bit of duck fat and then put some seasoning on it. I put the same seasoning we were using on the steak or the beef tenderloin, which was a new seasoning that Lane's Barbecue is putting out for Bama. And man, this stuff is so good. This smoky sweet, seasoning that they have. And so we use that. I also use some of the Cattleman's smoky chipotle, which has a little bit of espresso in it, just, because it's an awesome rub. So I put a little bit on that, and I put it on the egg. Of course, you can do it in the oven anywhere from 350, 375 is probably a good, good temp for this. And you cook those potatoes 45 minutes to an hour until they are fork tender, right? So, and listen, that alone, right there, you could eat these potatoes. I mean, you really could literally pull these potatoes out when they are cooked. And listen, I'm not skinning them, right? I mean, I'm leaving the skin on. I'm just cubing them up. Skin on potatoes. You just get them out of the sack. You wash them off. You cut them up, and you put them in your pan. I, again, spray a little bit of duck fat. You want to use some olive oil or avocado oil or something like that. Put some seasoning on them. Throw them in the oven or on your grill, 375 degrees for, 45 minutes to an hour. And they're when they get probe tender, right? I mean, they're ready for the next step. The next step is super simple because you're basically going to use 3 ingredients if you count one ingredient to be 2 different types of cheeses. You're going to take a 12-ounce bottle of your favorite ranch dressing. You're going to pour it all over those potatoes. You're going to take 12 ounces of your favorite buffalo sauce. We use one-legged chicken from Lane's Barbecue, and pour that all on top, a 12-ounce bottle, all on top of the ranch dressing. And then you're going to take a pound of cheese, half a pound of cheddar, whether it's extra sharp white cheddar or regular cheddar, that's up to you. Monterey Jack cheese also. And you can make this as cheesy as you want. You could, kick it up a little bit and use some pepper jack. Really, this is where the cheeses are really up to you. I end up using about 1.5 pounds, so 3 8-ounce packages of, blocks of cheese that we shred and we put all over the top, and we throw it back into the smoker or in the oven and melt that cheese all the way, which takes another, 15 minutes, give or take, depending, but 15, 20 minutes most. You should get all that cheese nice and melted. and that's ready to serve. There you go. That's a great recipe. Here's where you can really kick it up a little bit. You got some leftover brisket, or maybe you grill some chicken, and you take some of that chicken that you've grilled up, maybe even sous vide, right? And got your favorite seasoning or rub, and if you're going to use that, use the same type of seasoning on the potatoes themselves. And before you put the ranch and the buffalo sauce and the cheese, right on top of those potatoes, put your meat, whether it's brisket, which we have done, chicken, which we have done, and then, of course, just as we said, with the ranch, the buffalo, and the cheese. I'll tell you another thing that was awesome is one time we, at one end of the pan, we only did half the pan with this, but along with all the other things that we did, we added blue cheese. And we did the ranch, the buffalo sauce, and we had some blue cheese crumbles that we put on there. And that turned out well. I know not everybody likes blue cheese. It just so happened that day we had some folks that were coming over that loved blue cheese, and so it was great. But I know not everyone does. And again, that's where you can make this your own. It's just awesome. It just really is a very simple side that you can make. It is a little time consuming just because the potatoes take so long to cook. But other than that, it's really just a matter of shredding cheese. And if you wanted to put a meat and make it kind of its own little dish, you could do that. But man, it turns out so good. It really does turn out awesome. And I think it's something you ought to try. It is something we will be putting on the website over the next few weeks. We're going to be updating our recipe page. There's just been so much going on. I wanted to get some more recipes up already, but as I mentioned earlier, been dealing with a lot of maintenance issues and things that have really taken my attention away. But we're getting there. We're getting there. So we're going to be adding some recipes to the website for sure. And this is going to be one of them, right? We've got the 7-layer dip we talked about when we did the tomatoes and the salsa. Going to put that recipe up because that's amazing. We plan on doing the potato bake, but we'll probably just do the basic potato bake. And for those who listen to the podcast, then they will know how you can kind of doctor it up, make it your own, add different types of meats, whether it's, slices of steak, brisket, chicken, whatever it is, and different cheeses, right? I mean, you can do different cheeses as well, and really make it your own. And we'd love to hear from you and tell us, about some of the recipes maybe that you have heard on the podcast or you get off the website. Shoot us an email. info@blindgrilling.com is our email address. Yes, I still have the Gmail address from past episodes that we were giving out, but now we got the website up and running. I'm switching things over as best I can to the info@blindgrilling.com. And let us know about your experimentation, maybe doctoring up some of these recipes. We'd love to hear from you on all that. But to kind of recap a little bit as far as the cooks and the recipes are concerned, we grilled some okra. We just simply took sprigs of okra that we had got fresh out of the garden. We washed it. You can put a little oil on it if you want. We just wrapped ours in bacon. We put it on the grill at 375 degrees, and then, of course, we did some on the flat top as well. And on the flat top, we just kept turning it every, a couple of minutes and got the bacon done, and then, of course, the okra was done when the bacon was done, and that seemed to be a pretty good gauge. Otherwise, for about 15, 20 minutes, if you're on a charcoal grill indirect, but it only took probably 5 minutes on that flat top, and they were done. And then the potato bake, right? You're going to use a 9x13 pan. You get your oven or cooker up to 375 degrees. You're going to chop up your potatoes and get a good layer built up in the bottom of the pan and cook those for 45 minutes to an hour until they're fork tender. Of course, remember when you put them in the bottom of the pan, get some little bit of oil on them and some seasoning. You cook them for 45 minutes to an hour till they're fork tender. You pull them out. You're going to pour a bottle of ranch dressing over the top, pour a bottle of your favorite buffalo sauce over the top, and top it with some cheddar and Monterey Jack, or cheddar and some, Colby Monterey Jack, or whatever it is, even some pepper jack cheese if you want, about a pound to a pound and a half, splitting that up 8 ounces each, and let it go in the oven for another 15, 20 minutes till the cheese is melted, and boom, booyah! Man, you're going to enjoy what you're going to be putting in your mouth, no doubt about it.
Friends and family gather round and fire up the barbecue.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Blind Grilling Experience. Check out our website, blindgrilling.com. Email us at info@blindgrilling.com. We've got a lot of great things, I think, coming down the pike for you. Some episodes that we're going to be doing on some more cooks. Hope you're enjoying the Wednesday My Story episodes. Let me know if you are. Shoot us an email, info@blindgrilling.com. Until next time, remember, folks, if you're looking, you ain't
If
cooking.
you're looking, you ain't cooking. Fire up the barbecue. Fire up the barbecue.